Welcome back, it's just me. Round number 3 of our Premier Challenge here at Psycho Turtle in Pico Rivera, California. Again, I'm Dennis Geisler. It's just me for this round. We have Hector, Vargas, and Brandon Davis at 1-1 for round number 3 here. Pretty interesting matchup here. Hector has the Tornadus Incarnate, the Glamora, Fluttermane, Urshifu Single Strike, Dondozo, and Tatsugiri, the Curly Tatsugiri. And Brandon bringing Psy Spam, obviously. Do we expect anything else? Indeedee Female, Gallade, Iron Moth, Ogerpon Wellspring, Hisuian Ursaluna, and, or just the, yeah, not the Blood Moon, just the Hisuian Ursaluna, and Iron Crown. Interesting team here from Brandon. It's had a couple of changes from the last time we've seen this team from him, and it is the Iron Moth, very interestingly. It's Power Herb with Meteor Beam, so we'll be able to get that +1 special attack right out of the gate. It also has Heat Wave and Sludge Wave for its same type attack bonus spread moves, although that also means if there's any anti-spread, like a Wide Guard or something, which Hector doesn't have, but if there is any, then that could be an issue. We're going to see Brandon lead with Indeedee and Gallade, while Hector goes with Glamora and Urshifu. Indeedee does have that Psychic Seed, so it gets that boosted special defense. Both of these Pokemon here can Trick Room. I'm not sure how necessary Trick Room is in this matchup. This is a very fast team that Hector has, all things considered, especially if you... This is a fairly slow Dondozo, I think. We're going to see the Terrastal immediately. They're moving more quickly than I can talk about the game. It's going to be the Terra onto the Indeedee. Terra Fairy. Potentially to try to take a hit here from Urshifu. Going to follow me as well, so might be a Trick Room from the Gallade trying to get this battle underway. Going to get the Wicked Blow, not going to do very much into that resist there. And the Glamora as well, going to Meteor Beam, get that +1, be effectively neutral, both the Glamora and Indeedee at +1 on the special side. So, could do mediocre damage here. Ooh, very good damage. Not going to knock out, though. Indeedee will stay standing, and the Trick Room will get up. So, Brandon now with that speed advantage. Gallade will be the fastest thing on the field, I think. I'll preface that with I think. Indeedee might actually be faster, but Indeedee might also go for a helping hand here. Try to boost up whatever Gallade wants to go for. Urshifu going to Detect. Call out a turn here. See if Hector goes for the double protect here. Is not going for the double protect, and Glamora caught off guard and taken down. Gets the Toxic Debris up, so anything that switches in there will be poisoned now, but Glamora, losing Glamora for that, not ideal for Hector, and the Dazzling Gleam out of Indeedee not going to do anything against that protected Urshifu. So a very nice turn there for Brandon, and we get into an awkward spot here for Hector, bringing in the Dondozo. We know now the Dondozo, and most likely, we saw it, but Brandon has not seen Tatsugiri in the back here. Dondozo boosted should... Well, boosted it'll definitely be faster than either of these Pokemon here. See the Urshifu swap out. Tatsugiri will come in. We get that Dondozo Tatsugiri officially underway. Gets that commander bonus, doubles everything. Starts starting the Dondozo. It is potentially in danger of a Psycho Cut crit. General dangers, as well as Sacred Sword, which breaks through that. It will be the Sacred Sword. Does over half of Dondozo's HP. Dazzling Gleam, going to layer on a little bit more damage on top of that. Not too much, but it'll make sure the next Sacred Sword does KO, but it looks like there will not be another Sacred Sword because that Gallade got absolutely messed up by Dondozo there with the Wave Crash. The Wave Crash does bring it down to just 25 HP. I don't know if it's in range for another Dazzling Gleam. I think it's very close. Well, it definitely isn't now after the Leftovers healing. But anything else coming in should be able to finish off the Dondozo here. Very scary. Very eerie. Switch in is from Brandon. Iron Crown, I believe, would also still be slower than Dondozo, so would be able to underspeed there. Is also a key. Maybe the Ursaluna. We'll get poisoned on the way in, so it gets to activate Guts, not in the way that you would typically anticipate. It gets to do it on turn number 1. And this, I had to imagine that this Ursaluna is going to be able to finish that off. Dondozo is going to protect. And so that'll mean we sit here for a turn. Sod there from the Ursaluna. Probably a Dazzling Gleam from the Indeedee or something along those lines. Indeed, that is what it was going for. See if that, I believe that wasn't the final turn of Trick Room. I believe we have one more turn left. And it might come down to a double protect from Hector here to try to stall out that final turn of Trick Room. Stalling that out would be big. It is one more turn of Trick Room. I think the double protect might be the ideal choice here. If you're able to get the double protect, you stall out the Trick Room, you get a little bit more leftovers recovery, and you get to just start hitting and potentially go for a big hit onto that Ursaluna. Try to get it out of the way. Keep rotating these Pokemon through. If you can't, it's going to be pretty bad. It's going to be Indeedee swapping out, so Indeedee will be able to get the Psychic Terrain back up when it comes back in. Iron Crown is the last Pokemon here for Brandon. That Tachyon Cutter. Also expanding force, but that won't be meaningful after this. Dondozo gets the double protect. Hector's Dondozo gets the double protect and will now stall out the final turn of Trick Room here. I believe that does now mean that Dondozo is faster with that doubled speed than either of these Pokemon. Now it has a real decision to make. Does the Earthquake shouldn't finish off this Ursaluna, and any move that targets any move that targets Ursaluna will not hit Iron Crown at all. And either of these Pokemon should be able to pick up the KO. It'll be close. Eventually, it's going to be close. Could go for Iron Crown's going to protect here. It was going to be an Earthquake, and Ursaluna should take this hit enough. should take the hit enough. We'll see exactly how much it takes here. And it's not going to take much damage at all. The Facade comes through, going to finish off the Dondozo. Nicely played by Hector, but unfortunately not able to get out of that one successfully. A nice protect there by Brandon onto the Iron Crown. Should be able to lock this one up, although still not in an ideal spot. The Urshifu coming back in here still has not broken the Focus Sash on this Dark Urshifu, the Single Strike Urshifu. Question here, what does the Tatsugiri go for? It is Choice Scarf, as we typically see on these Tatsugiris nowadays. Can't really lock itself into a Dragon move. It could. It'll be dangerous with the Indeedee potentially coming out later. We'll see the Terastal here. It will be the Terra Dark Urshifu, so it'll be able to really burst down something here. Although whatever else might be able to knock it out, or at least get pretty close. The Dragon Pulse onto the Ursaluna is going to finish it off, and that should mean there's a double KO here for Hector, and Hector should actually win this battle here. Tachyon Cutter, ooh, Tachyon Cutter actually outspeeding the Urshifu. Slower Urshifu than I expected, and that Tachyon Cutter is going to knock it out. I wasn't expecting that. I actually thought that the Urshifu was going to be a little bit faster than that, but Iron Crown just right on the speed tier there, and able to pick up the knockout, and instead, Brandon's actually going to win this battle. I apologize for being so wrong earlier. It's just Dragon Pulse remaining. Indeedee actually guessed the correct decision not to lock into Dragon Pulse. It's probably the best damage for Iron Crown if Indeedee was going to get poisoned on the switch in anyway. But Hector's going to give that one up, and Brandon Davis with the Game 1 victory. Always difficult to play against Brandon and his team. that Indeedee Gallade opener, able to cleanly get up the Trick Room, get that Psycho Cut knockout into the Glamora. I wonder if we will see a bit of a switch up in game number 2, as I would imagine that Brandon knows that probably not the exact same thing will work the second time. Being able to get that Glamora on the one-hit knockout, catch it like that, be able to do so much damage to the Dondozo before it's able to really get much past that. Especially Hector knowing that a large part of the reason it was even so close near the end is because Dondozo was able to log a double protect, and that only happens in 1/3 of our realities. To take a drink of water. It's just me, so when I take a drink of water, nobody's talking. But that's okay. I don't have to listen to the FCC here. See what Hector decides to go for here. Glamora certainly put in its value in game number 1. Looks like Hector is going to lock in the same team again. Brandon has not made the decision yet. Hector's saying, okay, if I can keep the Glamora standing a little bit longer, if I can get a little bit more value out of that, maybe we'll be able to make this one work in game number 2. We'll see if Brandon decides to change anything up. Drinking root beer. We'll see from Brandon, it is going to be the Iron Crown Indeedee lead, so a little different this time. It's going to be the Iron Crown instead of the Gallade, and Iron Crown does not have... Excuse me, Iron Crown doesn't have Trick Room. It does have the Cork Drive with that booster energy, so boosted special attack. This does mean the Indeedee... I mean, we saw the Indeedee take a Meteor Beam plus Wicked Blow in Terastal in the last battle, and Brandon might just be saying, okay, I'm going to protect the Iron... Well, you can't protect the Iron Crown against that Urshifu, but you know that you're faster than the Urshifu here. You can go for an instant Tachyon Cutter against the Urshifu, and kind of difficult to work around that. We saw it knock out that Urshifu in one hit. We get the Helping Hand. Iron Crown going to be the first one to move. Goes for the Expanding Force. It's going to tear apart that Glamora. Not going to be able to get anything off there. And one knockout there for the Iron Crown already. Wicked Blow aimed at the Indeedee. That's going to pick up the knockout with no Terastal. But it does mean that this Iron Crown is still standing. The Indeedee's out of the way. A lot of good supportive value there that Hector is now missing out, or excuse me, that Brandon is now missing out on. Dondozo comes in though, and so it might be nice to not have that, and the Gallade comes in. It's an awkward spot to be in if you are Hector, since this Dondozo is going to, if Hector decides to switch in the Tatsugiri here, I think you're forced to if you have the Dondozo out there. And if you do that, this Dondozo, maybe it's able to get the Wave Crash down and knock out the Gallade, but at the same time, you're taking a ton of damage from Expanding Force. The Iron Crown can also Terastalize to make it at least take hits from Hector's Dondozo. It should also go first? I don't know. It might go first. We'll see. I'm not actually sure whether what's going to go first here. But either way, Brandon should get a nice big hit off onto the Dondozo. We'll see the Terastal as well. Maybe the Gallade to Terra Grass. That is a nice choice. The Sacred Sword we saw earlier was a 2-hit knockout, and nothing that Dondozo should be able to do, should be able to deal with this that quickly. I'm going to see the Wave Crash again. It's going to be into the Gallade. It's going to take the hit shockingly badly, but it does still take the hit. Tachyon Cutter launched into the wrong slot there, and Gallade goes for the Trick Room. So regardless, Gallade is going to get the Trick Room up and will now be able to outspeed that Dondozo with a Sacred Sword. You also saw that Dondozo was faster than the Iron Crown, so both of these Pokemon will now outspeed the Dondozo. I'm not sure where Dondozo can go from here. I think Dondozo is about to get lit up pretty badly. Can try to stall out some turns of the Psychic Terrain, but not really the Trick Room. You're not going to get the Quadruple Protect here, I think, if you're Hector. The Sacred Sword is the choice there. That is the correct decision. It breaks through those defense boosts. And the Expanding Force do a lot of damage. Not sure how many turns of a Psychic Terrain we have left now, but it's a pretty limited amount. The Black and White 2 memory theme playing back here. Now, real question for Hector, what do you do here? How do you try to break through this? Sacred Sword comes out, does a lot of damage to that Dondozo. Expanding Force from the Iron Crown. Obviously not going to hit the Tatsugiri, but that means it'll just hit the Dondozo even harder. 2 HP remaining. 2 HP remaining for the Dondozo. And this should be a double knockout here onto both of these Pokemon. The narrowest of margins can decide things in a Pokemon battle, and this is evidence of that. If that 2 HP had gone off, then Brandon almost certainly would have won that battle, but now Brandon in a pretty bad spot because that 2 HP came through. Not an atrocious spot for Brandon to be in. We'll see what the final Pokemon is. It's most likely to be the Ursaluna once again. The Ogerpon. Bit surprising. I'm not sure, actually. I believe that Ogerpon will actually be slower in this scenario than the Dondozo. At least under Trick Room. Like, Ogerpon is naturally faster. And it'll be a bit of a... It'll be an uphill battle for Ogerpon to make it through this through the rest of this one. It actually is faster into Trick Room. We'll get the nice little Horn Leech off. Psychic Terrain is down now. Now a lot to play around. I am almost certain that this Ogerpon is faster than the... Oh, actually, it might not be faster than the pretty slow Ogerpon. You see the Terrastal here from Hector. See, that's the Terra Dark Urshifu. Try to do as much damage with the Wicked Blow onto Ogerpon as possible. No reason not to. Not really a lot of advantage to not popping that as soon as possible. Go for Horn Leech again onto that Tatsugiri. Gonna heal up a bit of HP. Wicked Blow, this will be the big thing. Can Ogerpon take the Wicked Blow plus whatever Tatsugiri throws out? Takes the Wicked Blow. Tatsugiri goes for that Dragon Pulse. Should finish it off. And Hector Vargas, by literally a 2 HP margin, is able to pick up the victory in game number 2. The thinnest of margins decide these games sometimes, and we'll see. Does Brandon... Because we don't know if that could have knocked out. We also don't know. Maybe the Tachyon Cutter probably wouldn't have done more damage. It probably was the best damage with that Expanding Force, but just such a narrow margin there in that battle for the victory for Hector. Both these players want the exact same set of... the exact same teams for games 1 and 2. That's not true. Brandon had the Ursaluna in game number 1 and the Ogerpon in game number 2. We'll see if Brandon decides to change things up again. Did go for the Iron Crown this in game number 2, which I think worked very well, honestly. I mean, that's the thing. It's that the Iron Crown worked well. A lot of the stuff in that battle worked well. But at the end of the day, it was just the fact that the 2 HP didn't go off the Dondozo. And we don't know if 2 HP could have gone off the Dondozo. We don't know if that was possible. But you always gotta wonder when it's a margin as narrow as that. And if you're Hector, you go, okay, I won that battle. Go on to game number 3. We'll see if they decide to switch anything up. We have not seen the Tornadus all series, not too surprising. Nor the Fluttermane. Tornadus not able to get the taunt off in Psychic Terrain. Blocks the priority. To get underway, game number 3. Both these players at 1-1 here in round number 3. We have 5 rounds of Swiss. We have barely, I think we have exactly 17 Masters, which is the minimum to get 5 rounds of Swiss and a top 8 top cut. Very exciting for everyone that we were able to get to that number. We're gonna get underway. See what the bring is for Brandon. Going to be indeed Iron Crown again. And from Hector, it's going to be the Glamora Urshifu again. So same leads as game number 2. Turn number 1 in that one was a Helping Hand Expanding Force from the Indeedee. with Urshifu detecting, or no, excuse me, Urshifu went for the Wicked Blow onto the Indeedee. So Indeedee was knocked out turn number 1, and Glamora was also knocked out turn number 1. I wonder how much Brandon will lean into doing the same things as in game number 2. Because overall it went pretty well for a while. And for Hector, you know that you won that game, so... See if either of these two decides to switch anything up. Trying to go for a big hit into the Iron Crown could also be an answer here. When did it follow me from the Indeedee? Not the Helping Hand, it's the Follow Me. So that Wicked Blow, the Tachyon Cutter comes out first. That knocks out the Urshifu in 1 hit. Well, 2 hits, because the Tachyon Cutter hits twice, but that'll take out the Urshifu immediately. And that Urshifu that was providing so much value at the end of these battles is now down. As Glamora gets an Earth Power off on Indeedee, which does nothing through that special defense boost. Fantastic turn number 1 for Brandon. And it's looking like a tough spot for Hector to make it out of this one. I think there's a reasonably free... There's a Tatsugiri coming in. I think it's reasonably free to go for Trick Room on Indeedee and Protect on Iron Crown. I don't think Indeedee should be taken out this turn by whatever Dondozo decides to launch out. Have to go for a big hit like a Wave Crash or something into this Indeedee, and this is a physically bulky Indeedee. Way more specially bulky, but it has not taken much damage so far. It is very bulky. We'll see the Commander boost. We'll see the Terastal here. Be the Terra Water Iron Crown? It is indeed the Terra Water Iron Crown, so it'll take less damage from the Wave Crash, and that's it. Well, it also won't be take super effective damage against the Earthquake. Both valuable. We're going to see the Wave Crash into the Indeedee. It is going to knock out the Indeedee. So Indeedee not able to get up the Trick Room or whatever it might have been wanting to go for. The Iron Crown gets to go now. We'll see what kind of damage it gets to launch out. Expanding Force into the Dondozo. Going to do solo damage against that Dondozo. Does some real damage there. That's a lot of good damage. And Dondozo going to take the Leftovers healing. Another Protect here might help it get out of range. All we're waiting on here is a Psychic Terrain. No Trick Room to stall out. But a Protect from Dondozo could allow Gallade to get Trick Room up, if that's what's in the back here. Haven't seen a choice yet for Brandon. Also, to be totally honest, this Iron Crown is unlikely to get taken down by just one attack. Order Up probably won't knock out. Wave Crash and Earthquake probably won't as well. And the Ogerpon out now. I've not seen the Terastal yet. I think we have to see it now. And this is an awkward spot for this Dondozo to be in, because even with the Terastal, it's going to be tough to break through this Iron Crown. I think it has to knock out with this Order Up here onto the Iron Crown. They, wait and see. This Dondozo does hit really hard. That is the one thing about this Dondozo, is it does hit really hard. Order Up into the Iron Crown. About half HP. That's not going to be nearly enough. And the Expanding Force going to get very close to knocking it out if it doesn't do it straight up. And it does do it straight up. Brandon Davis gets rid of that Dondozo, finally. Oh, he's so sad. Never mind, I feel bad for Dondozo now. So it is just the... Oh, and the Ogerpon gets a nice cheeky Horn Leech onto the Tatsugiri as well. Now it is just the Glamora and the Tatsugiri remaining. Glamora gets hit hard by Iron Crown's Terra Blast, Terra Water Terra Blast, or by Tachyon Cutter, or by Expanding Force. I think Psychic Terrain expires this turn. Expires next turn. Still got more Psychic Terrain remaining. Can't even Protect here to get Glamora out of the Psychic Terrain. This is a Choice Scarf Tatsugiri, so it's going to be able to move first and get a bunch of damage down onto something. Ogerpon going to follow me to keep the Iron Crown standing, though. And that Draco Meteor, ooh, insult to injury. Draco Meteor misses, and the Expanding Force should clean this one up. Brandon Davis with a 2-1 victory. Gritty win there for Brandon. A lot of close games there. It's always tough to beat that Dondozo Tatsugiri, but at the end of the day, very nicely played by Brandon, playing around those win conditions. There are just a limited number of things that beat Dondozo. The things that beat Dondozo best are special damage and Sacred Sword, or anything that breaks through defense boosts, like the Wicked Blow, like we saw in the last battle. And it's good for Brandon to have the Sacred Sword and extremely high special damage in that Iron Crown with the booster energy to be able to break through that even further, doing some really serious damage with that. With that, I said with that back to back. With that, we are going to head to break. We'll be back with round number 4, crunch time in the Swiss rounds. Don't go anywhere.